What's up, everyone? Justin here, back with a new Year in Wrestling Reloaded 1996 Part 5, my final part of 96. I want to start it off with saying 96 was a damn good year in wrestling. Really good, really entertaining. A lot of great stuff happened. A lot of new stars were built. Great storylines. The NWO invasion. Who is the third man? Austin 316 says, I just whipped your ass. He won the King of the Ring. And Stone Cold, after winning the King of the Ring, he didn't really get booked good. At SummerSlam 96, he was on the kickoff, the free-for-all against Yokozuna. It was a mess. But they started booking Stone Cold a lot better at Survivor Series 96 when he had a really good classic matchup, match of the year candidate against Bret Hart. So 96 was a really good year. Not the beginning really so much, but we saw the Iron Man match at Wrestlemania 12. That was epic. The return of the Ultimate Warrior. I would say around May and June 96 is when things really picked up. Especially June, July. Then from June and July for the rest of 96, everything was damn good in WWF and WCW and in ECW. So I'm going to review some ECW super shows that were monthly. So here we go. Year in Wrestling Reloaded Part 5. I'm going to start with ECW Extreme Warfare. ECW Extreme Warfare Volume 2. Here are some of the matches. For the first time ever, we saw the Battle of the Bam Bams. Terry Bam Bam Gordy against Bam Bam Bigelow. It was pretty damn good. Also, at Extreme Warfare Volume 2, we saw the Gangsters and the Public Enemy. Public Enemy was gone already by October 96 when Extreme Warfare Volume 2 was released on video. This was like a previously, I think it's from 95, the match between the Gangsters, Public Enemy, Bill Alfonso, and 911 were the refs. And it was obviously taped. The Gangsters, Public Enemy, Extreme Warfare Volume 2 was taped. I think it's like from early 96 or 95. Also, we had Sabu take on Lionheart, Chris Jericho, another taped matchup from earlier in 95 or 96, because Jericho was in WCW by October 96. I think Jericho made his WCW pay-per-view debut, I think, at, I want to say, Fall Brawl or Halloween Havoc. So Jericho Sabu met for the first time ever at Extreme Warfare Volume 2. I don't think they met again in their careers. Tommy Dreamer feuded mostly in 96 with primetime Brian Lee. He's like part of Raven's flock. So primetime Brian Lee, Tommy Dreamer, the innovator of violence, in a scaffold match above the ECW arena, above the ring. The ring was filled with tables on top of each other. The whole ring had tables in it. And the scaffold was a ghetto, badly made scaffold. It was like just a whole bunch of wood put together, nailed together, and held up by chains. could have broke, could have fell, especially with primetime Brian Lee. The guy was like close to 300 or over. Tommy Dreamer was at least like 240. So that's like 500 pounds on that scaffold. It was not made well. It was not safe. It was like rocking back and forth when they were up on it fighting. By the way, the Sandman made the scaffold. If you want to know, the Sandman made it because I guess he's a carpenter. So Tommy Dreamer keeps punching over and over and over and over and over and over Brian Lee, and he falls off the scaffold, crashes through about 2 or 3 tables, and he looked pretty injured. And they had doctors checking on him. I don't think he got injured, but he looked injured. Up next, we had I think the top rope broke, or again, this was previously taped, released for home video. I think Dreamer, Brian Lee did happen in October 96. But this was previously taped. I believe the top rope broke. They had to fix it for Sabu RVD earlier in 96 to buy time, to give the fans some entertainment. At the ECW arena, they sent out Kimona Wanalea, did a striptease on top the ECW arena. She had a towel over her. I saw what she exposed, and it wasn't that much. She was like wearing a one piece. I think it's see-through, so you could see her nipples, but whatever. It was like a TV 14 striptease. Maybe it was dirtier. I don't really remember. I haven't seen it in a long time. But some history about Kimona Wanalea. She actually went to WCW at the end of 99 and 2000. She was a manager of the Young Dragons. I forget what her name was, but she was actually in WCW. So that was Extreme Warfare, Volume 2. Now let's talk about the November to Remember. ECW November to Remember 96. I'll look it up here and review it. So it was November 16th, 96 at the ECW Arena, the November to Remember. Always happened in November. That's why it's called that. This was their Super Bowl, their big event, their Starrcade, their Wrestlemania. November to Remember was ECW's biggest show of the year. And in 96, they were not on pay-per-view yet. 97, they would get on pay-per-view, and from 97, 98, 99, 2000, November to Remembers were on pay-per-view. So it was a sellout. It claims at the ECW Arena, 1,500. So up first we had Big Stevie Cool, who was Stevie Richards, parroting. They were a parody of the NWO called the BWO. Is pretty fucking hilarious. You had Big Stevie Cool, who was playing Kevin Nash, even though he's pretty damn way shorter and not as big as Kevin Nash, but whatever. The Blue Mini playing the Blue Guy, Scott Hall. And Supernova was playing Hollywood Nova. So Big Stevie Cool, they were baby faces by November 96. The BWO were baby faces and cheered a lot. And Big Stevie Cool, Stevie Richards, was getting pretty damn over at the time. So anyways, Big Stevie Cool defeated whoever the hell this guy is. David Tyler Morton Jericho. I don't know who that is, but seems like they were trying to make fun of Ricky Morton and Jericho. Because why the hell is that his name? Up next, Axel Rotten defeated Hack Myers. It was only 4 minutes, probably not good. And Axel Rotten could actually wrestle. He really could, but the guy sadly became a hardcore wrestler. And it worked. It worked for him. Probably beat his body up very badly, but it worked for him. I hope he made a lot of money. Sadly, rest in peace. Axel Rotten has passed away. Also, Hack Myers has passed away. So up next, we had Bubba Ray Dudley take on Devon Dudley. They were in a heated feud in ECW for a little while before they'd get back together. Devon, Bubba Ray beat the fuck out of each other. At the November to Remember 96, Devon, Bubba Ray beat the fuck out of each other. Trust me. I've seen their matches. So Bubba Ray was with Sign Guy, Dudley, Devon, I guess, was with nobody. And I think he had a ton of interference after this by Dudley, Big Dick. Maybe Axel Rotten interfered. Or maybe that was before November. Up next, we had a tag team number one contender tag team matchup for the number one contendership for the ECW tag titles. The Eliminators. Perry Saturn, John Cronus. Really good underrated team in the 90s. They weren't together that long. I think 2 years. Maybe they were together before they came to ECW. I don't know. The Eliminators defeated, the Eliminators took on Sabu and Rob Van Dam in a time limit draw, 27 minutes. I think it went about 30, but it says 26 minutes. Up next, Chris Candido came back, returned to ECW after he was in WWF for about a year and a half, I think. Chris Candido defeated Mikey Whipwreck. Two really good, underrated, good workers. Up next, for the tag team titles, three-way dance. The Gangsters defeated the Eliminators and Sabu and Rob Van Dam. They wrestled to a time limit draw, but they gave him a title shot anyways. Two Cold Scorpio was leaving ECW at the November to Remember. He got on the mic with Joey Styles and said, "I'm getting the fuck out of here, but nobody can beat me." He says, "I'll call out anybody. Open challenge. Come on out. See if you can beat me. You can't." Because Two Cold Scorpio, I think, got a pretty good deal. I don't know if it's good money, but I would hope. To go to WWF, Two Cold Scorpio became Flash Funk. That gimmick was not good. But he's a hell of an athlete, hell of a talent. Two Cold Scorpio, fucking underrated. High flyer, underrated. The guy, Two Cold Scorpio in WCW, is a kid. He is the first wrestler I ever saw do a 450. Also, the guy did a lot of other flips I never saw before. So I don't know if that's a fact. I doubt it, but a wrestler in Japan probably did a 450 first. But in America, Two Cold Scorpio did a 450 first, before anybody. Two Cold Scorpio had an open challenge. This was Loser Leaves ECW matchup. Devin Storm came out. Two Cold defeated Devin Storm in a minute. Then he says, he's a nobody. Bring someone else out. Where's your competition, ECW? I want more. Out comes JT Smith. He loses in 32 seconds. He's out of ECW. Then Two Cold Scorpio called out more people, said, I'm not leaving until somebody gives me competition. I'm not going up north. So Two Cold then, out comes Hack Myers. He gets kind of a pop because he was over. Hack Myers gets squashed by Two Cold Scorpio. Hack Myers loses in 1:15. Then Two Cold is still not leaving the ring because he will not leave till he loses. Louise Spicoli comes out, gets a good pop, but he loses in 2:14. And then in 97, or I don't remember the year, but 97, 98, 99. I think 99 he passed away, or I don't remember the year, but Louise Spicoli went to WCW and actually got a deal to go to WCW after he was in ECW in 96, 97. I think he went to WCW in 97 and showed up. Sadly, he died, I think, of substance abuse or drug overdose or something. Before ECW, Louise Spicoli was a good worker in ECW, and he's in WWF as Rad Radford. Weird gimmick name, but he was actually there. So Louise Spicoli actually was in all three companies in the 90s. So the guy had a pretty successful career. If you ask me, sadly, he's dead. So I'm surprised more of the ECW originals I'm surprised more of them have not passed away because they fucking partied hard. It's no secret in ECW in the 90s, the original ECW, there were a ton of drugs backstage for anybody to do. Whatever you wanted, you could get. So then Two Cold defeated Louis Spicoli defeated Two Cold Scorpio in 2:14. Two Cold was shocked and the crowd was just super hype, popped, were excited, and Two Cold was gone, going to the WWF. Up next we had, for the ECW World Title, the Sandman. He had 12 matches on the November to Remember 96. They need to put that on the WWE Network, and very soon, because I want to see it again. I had the video DVD of November to Remember 96, but sadly the DVD won't play anymore. I don't know why. Guess it got scratched up. Sandman defending the world title against Raven. And the Sandman retains and defeats Raven. In the main event, Terry Funk. This was like a dream partner tag team matchup. Or dream match. Dream tag team matchup. Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer defeated Shane Douglas and Primetime Brian Lee in the main event. At the November to Remember, it went pretty long, 26 minutes, 12 seconds. So that was November to Remember 96. Now, that was the final, I believe the final big show ECW did in 96. So now, I'm going to talk about the Pro Wrestling Illustrated PWI Awards for 96 and who won Feud of the Year, Match of the Year, stuff like that. I'll be back in a second. Alright, I'm back. Year in Wrestling Reloaded, Part 5, 1996. This Reloaded, Year in Wrestling Reloaded series, I am not covering every WWF or WCW. I'm not going to review all those pay-per-views because I already did that. Check out my Year in Wrestling playlist. I reviewed every WCW, ECW, WWF pay-per-view. So these Year in Wrestling Reloaded shows are just to give my thoughts on the years and review some ECW super shows. So here we go. Wrestler of the Year for 1996 was the Giant. And the first runner-up was Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. And the third runner-up for Wrestler of the Year was Ahmed Johnson. He was never a good wrestler. The guy was pretty over. I was a big fan of him, but I was 12 years old in 96. So that's why I was a fan of the guy. So I guess Ahmed Johnson really pissed off Mark Henry because he said he has nothing good to say about Ahmed Johnson. They had to work together, I believe, in the nation, and Ahmed probably injured Mark Henry because he injured everybody he worked with almost. Ahmed Johnson was like the male Nia Jax because he injured everybody. So I think these PWI awards were voted on by some fans because I don't get how Ahmed Johnson would be the third runner-up. He should have been like number 500 in 96. Tag Team of the Year. I'm going to just guess and say Harlem Heat. It is Harlem Heat. First runner-ups, the Eliminators. Second runner-ups, the Steiners. And third runner-ups, the Gangsters. Match of the Year. Shawn Michaels, Bret, Hart, WrestleMania 12. That's obvious. It was a classic. Really good. First runner-up, Shawn Michaels, Mankind from In Your House Mind Games in Philly, where ECW stars appeared and did a run-in. Or they were sitting at ringside. Second runner-up for Match of the Year, Sabu, Rob Van Dam. They had really good matches in 96. And the third runner-up was the War Games, the NWO against the Four Horsemen. That was a really good War Games. Really entertaining. Fall Brawl 96 pay-per-view is really damn good. One of my favorite pay-per-views of 96. WCW just hit home runs every pay-per-view after, I would say after August 96. All their pay-per-views were fucking home runs. They were really good. Even World War III 96. I enjoyed it. Not really the triple three-ring battle royal. That match is a mess and hard to watch because they had 3 screens on the TV. But the event, not the 3-ring battle royal, but World War III was a good pay-per-view without the 3-ring battle royal. Whoever thought of that, you weren't fucking high or something, because who the hell would think of that? Let's put 3 rings together by each other. First off, if you're a fan in the arena, it's probably easier to follow. Or maybe not than watching it. Watching it on TV is not easy until they get down to ring number 1 with like 10 or 20 guys left. But at least World War III, I will say for WCW, at least it was an innovative new concept, new gimmick match that nobody ever saw before. WWF didn't do it, nobody else did it, and nobody will ever do it, and nobody will ever do it since it ended in 98, was the last one. I wonder why no other companies have stole it, because they don't want it. A lot of companies steal War Games. MLW has done War Games. NXT's done War Games. AEW wanted to do a War Games, Blood and Guts. I don't know if it's going to be 2 rings, but I would hope so. Whenever they can do blood and guts again, it should be 2 rings with a roof on the cage. So, what was I saying? Match of the year. I gave you all that. Runner-up was Shawn Michaels. Mankind. Really good, underrated championship match that Shawn Michaels had in '96 against Mankind. It was really good. It was a different mix of styles. You had Mankind, out of control, hardcore style. Would do anything to his body to hurt his opponent against high-flying Shawn Michaels. Again, I gave you all the matches already for '96. Up next, feud of the year for '96 was Eric Bischoff, Vince McMahon, but that's stupid to name them 2. They should have just said WCW versus WWF. Runner-up for feud of the year, Ric Flair, Randy Savage. Second runner-up, Mankind. The Undertaker had a really good epic feud in '96. Great matches. Started off with SummerSlam '96. Why can't I think? I couldn't think of the name. Boiler Room Brawl. Undertaker Mankind. That was epic. And it was so good that Vince McMahon on commentary, he probably was so entertained, or he stayed quiet and barely spoke. And Paul Bearer turned on The Undertaker. That was shocking. I didn't see that coming. So you had the Boiler Room Brawl, and then in October you had Buried Alive, Mankind The Undertaker. First ever Buried Alive match. First ever Boiler Room Brawl. And then they didn't face off again till April '97 at In Your House. But then they'd face off in Hell in a Cell and almost kill each other. Or Mankind almost was killed and murdered on pay-per-view by The Undertaker. Mick, you're nuts. I don't know how you can still walk after that Hell in a Cell bump. But I will respect you forever for what you've done to your body for the fans. So, yeah, I almost forgot. '96 had Bret Hart, Stone Cold feuding. NWO showed up. ECW is doing very well. Really good shows. And Mankind Undertaker feud. Really good stuff happened in '96. It's a really good year in wrestling. Watch a lot of '96 pay-per-views back. Especially after June, July. Really good stuff until the end of '96. And they're all available on the WWE Network. And Starrcade, I have to mention Starrcade '96. Really good event. The main event was not that good, but it was a spectacle. It was money. It was a sold-out crowd. I'm sure it got a lot of buy rates. It was Hollywood Hogan against Roddy Piper. Never took place before on a WWF pay-per-view. So WCW, they signed Piper. He showed up at Halloween Havoc in '96. That was shocking that he was in WCW. That was weird. To me, Piper didn't fit. He didn't fit in my opinion. Earlier in '96, he was a commissioner of the WWF until like the end of April. And then I don't know why WWF and Vince stopped using Roddy Piper. They should have used him for good as a commissioner. But I think Piper was just filling in for Gorilla Monsoon, who was the real commissioner, who was attacked by Vader in January '96. That was another great moment that I almost forgot. Gorilla Monsoon actually fought back took his glasses off and started chopping Vader and beating him up. It was awesome. Got a huge pop. And then Vader, this was right after, I think, Royal Rumble 96, the Raw, right after it. Vader then just destroyed. Vader bombed Gorilla Monsoon. It was pretty damn shocking for the time. Because you didn't see stuff like that back then, really. You didn't see commissioners or presidents of wrestling companies being attacked. And Vader was suspended for like 30 days, I think, or something. So Roddy Piper filled in for Gorilla Monsoon. I believe that was a Raw after the Rumble. That was a great moment in 96. It was pretty shocking to see Gorilla Monsoon at his age still had a little bit left in him. So up next, feud of the year for 96. What? Mankind, Undertaker, second runner-up, third runner-up, I guess, from the USWA Memphis Wrestling, Jamie Dundee versus Wolfie D. Later, they would go on to become PG-13. Most popular wrestler of the year, 1996, Shawn Michaels. That is no surprise. I was a huge fan of HBK in 96. He was my favorite wrestler. First runner-up, Randy Savage. Second runner-up, Sid Vicious. And third runner-up, The Undertaker for most popular wrestler of the year. I gotta mention Psycho Sid. Got a huge pop in Madison Square Garden when he defeated Shawn Michaels. The fans, during the match, or before the match, the fans decided to turn on Shawn, the babyface, and cheer Sid. Because why the hell not? A lot of fans, a lot of New York fans always did that. They chose to, not choosing, but they would always choose to cheer the heel. Most hated wrestler of the year, 1996, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. And yes, he was. He had a ton of heat. He had garbage and cans and bottles thrown at him. And garbage thrown at him. The whole NWO would have garbage thrown at them in the ring. Also, 96, Sting became the Crow. That was fucking epic. That was epic. So, most hated, Hulk Hogan's first runner-up for most hated, Goldust. He had a ton of fucking heat in 96. But most of the heat was because ignorant fans that were probably, a lot of them, a lot of male fans were homophobic and would yell at Goldust, "You're gay," and call him homo and call him the F word. I'm not going to say the F word because that's offensive to my gay friends. So I'm just saying, back in 96, a lot of fans, I was at shows, I was at King of the Ring 96, a lot of fans were homophobic, yelling at Goldust. I could hear them. I will admit, I even called him gay. I yelled, "You're gay," but I was only 12. I was stupid. I was ignorant. Now, I have a lot of gay friends, and I know of a lot of gay wrestlers, and I would never yell at them for being gay. I mean, give me a fucking break. Love is love, and we are all fucking humans. So, Jerry Lawler was second runner-up for most hated, and third runner-up was the Giant. I will say about Jerry Lawler, had a ton of heat at the King of the Ring 96 in my hometown of Milwaukee. I was there live. He cut a promo ripping the fans, ripping Milwaukee and the dumb fuck. No, it wasn't Lawler. He was just making fun of the fans, or ugly fans. And there's ugly fans in every city. Just saying, it was not just in Wisconsin. But just saying, there's fat people, ugly people everywhere in every state that go to wrestling shows. I'm just saying. Don't like it, I don't care. That's the truth. You can call me ugly if you want. I don't care. So, what the hell was I saying? I was going to bash Jerry Lawler for his King of the Ring 96 promo, but it wasn't him. Brian Pillman. The guy's a loose cannon. Brian Pillman went off on the mic, cut an insane promo, had a ton of heat, and decided to bring up Jeffrey Dahmer in Milwaukee. You don't fucking do that, because the guy did awful, awful things here. Really bad things here that nobody should ever do. So, Jeffrey Dahmer got what he deserved. He got what he deserved when he was in prison. So, up next, most improved wrestler of the year for 96 was Ahmed Johnson. The guy did become Intercontinental Champion. He was pretty over. First runner-up, Chris Benoit. Second runner-up, Stevie Richards. Third runner-up, Taz. For most improved wrestler, I will say about Chris Benoit in 96, the guy's a wrestling machine. The guy never had a bad match. He was a part of the Horsemen. In 96, Chris Benoit and Kevin Sullivan had a heated fucking feud and really good rivalry. Really good hard-hitting matches. And Kevin Sullivan booked his own divorce to woman. I don't know why he put himself in a storyline with Benoit and a woman. Because they started dating. And woman was cheating on Chris Benoit. I don't know why she decided to leave Kevin Sullivan. I don't really care. I don't believe he abused her like the Dark Side of the Ring said. I've seen Kevin Sullivan be interviewed, and I don't think he's the type of guy that would hit a woman. So, inspirational wrestler of the year for 96 was Jake the Snake Roberts. He made a big comeback at the Royal Rumble 96. He got big reactions, but he was gone after SummerSlam, or after after Royal Rumble 97. He was gone. His addiction probably took over, because he didn't appear again after the Rumble 97. So Jake the Snake was around about a year back in WWF. So Jake Roberts, first runner-up for Inspirational Wrestler of the Year. First runner-up, Jushin Thunder Liger. He had a great year in 96. Ahmed Johnson, second runner-up, and third runner-up for Inspirational Wrestler of the Year, Rey Mysterio Jr. Rookie of the Year for 96, The Giant. First runner-up, Steve Mcmichael. Second runner-up, Rocky Maivia. Rocky Maivia, The Rock, made his debut in 96 and would go on to become one of the biggest stars in the WWF's history. And now the guy's one of the biggest movie stars in the world. That's crazy. Think about that. Rocky Maivia. That goofy ass name. With his goofy, I don't know what to call it. His hair was out of control. It was all curly and sticking up in the air. A wrestler named Rocky Maivia, the ultimate white meat babyface, is smiling all the time, started getting booed by fans because in 96, 97, the fans didn't want to cheer the baby faces. The heels were cool. Especially like in the summer of 96, everybody was cheering for the heels. But a wrestler named Rocky Maivia would actually go on and look at his picture from his Survivor Series 96 debut. He would go on to become the biggest movie star in the world. Every movie he has, it does very, very well when theaters were open at the box office. He's had a ton of hits, ton of blockbusters, Fast and Furious movies. He was in San Andreas. I enjoyed that. He was in Rampage. He was in a ton of movies. It didn't start off like that. The Rock was actually in a movie called Doom, the video game. It was not good. I never watched that whole movie, and I don't ever want to. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed Year in Wrestling Reloaded 1996 Part 5. Bye for now, everybody. Check out the playlist, Year in Wrestling Reloaded, and like, comment, share, and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Bye for now.